It is 6 o'clock on February 18th, 2025, and I'm going to call this Lacey City Council meeting to order. Council members Vasquez is excused this evening, and Councilmember Greenstein will be attending remotely. If you're able, can you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to acknowledge that we, the City of Lacey, are on the ancestral land of the tribal people of the Treaty of Medicine Creek, including the Nisqually Indian Tribe and the Squax Indian Tribe. Also need to make one amendment to this evening's agenda. We need to add the consideration of Resolution 1164, and this has to do with the Tommy Park Estate Sewer ULID, and I would ask that resolution to be after public comment and before the mayor's report. Can I get a motion to approve the amended agenda along with our consent agenda?
Move to approve agenda as amended and our consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Dave will obviously fill us in more under the resolution. Seeing none, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Then that motion unanimously carries. Yeah. Councilmember Greenstein, can you mute your, thanks. So first up on our amended agenda is public recognitions and presentations. And first is the Lacey Youth Council report. Turn it over to the Youth Council.
Hi, I'm Isabella Valerio, and I'll be representing River Ridge High School. We have our talent show coming up, and our auditions are tomorrow. We have our multicultural night for performances and booths representing different cultures. Our girls' basketball is going to the playoffs and competing in states. Spring sports are coming up, and for Valentine's Day, there is a flower sale and appreciation notes given out to spread the love. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Lily Schneider, and I represent North Thurston High School. Last week, we had our Week of Love, which sent appreciation and recognition to our students and teachers in honor of Valentine's Day. Our boys' swim team is headed to state this weekend. Our cheer team took third in state, and our girls' basketball team won the league championship and is headed to the district championship while being second in state. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening, Council. I'm Luca, and I'm representing the homeschool community. Recently, homeschoolers in Lacey have been on a few field trips. For example, some elementary and middle school students went to a music event at the University of the Puget Sound. Spring sports have also started, and for me, the first competitions are in just a few weeks. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Lydia Neat, and I'm the representative of Northwest Christian High School. We honestly don't have that much going on. Our winter sports just ended, so now we're just patiently waiting for spring sports to arrive. Today we had our first rehearsal for our spring musical, Frozen. Our speech and debate team is currently putting on a lot of tournaments to try to get us all qualified for regionals, and we're right now we're building up cans for our local canned food drive. Yeah, basically that's all that's going on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. I'm Aryan, and I represent Timberland High School. Our school has our play called We Will Rock You by Upton John this weekend, and spring sports tryouts have started, and it'll officially start next month. Our hygiene drive has ended, and distribution will happen Thursday night at the City Gate Ministries in Olympia. The Week of Love happened last week, and we celebrated our teachers for their hard work. And lastly, our FBLA chapter had 79 state qualifying events and 15 first-place winners. And me and my partner being one of the winners, we actually met up with Mayor Ryder earlier today to get him as a part of our project, and that was pretty cool.
Thank you.
Hello, Council. I'm Eliana Allen, and I am here to present both for Pope John Paul II High School and for the Lacey Youth Council today. So seeing as the slides are up, I guess I'll start with the Lacey Youth Council. So a couple weeks ago, we got to go to the cultural celebration and have a booth in cooperation with the Commission on Equity. It was a lot of fun. We really tried to encourage community engagement. We did a lot of handing out little goodies to a lot of children. That was very fun. And our Commission on Equity representative did a lot of amazing community work to talk about, what they do and stuff. And something that's really awesome to note is there's a big, long, very blurry document up there that looks very fancy. That is the proclamation against hate. So that means hate speech, hate crime, and discrimination especially. And that was really cool because that was actually the first ever Lacey organization or Lacey event in which a Lacey table actually had that proclamation. So that's really good on us. And pictures. So very cool. And then the other thing that Lacey Youth Council has mostly been doing is preparing for our Commission on Equity joint meeting. So a lot of that is going to be us doing a presentation on our experiences with equity and what equity means to us. And we really hope to spark some incredible discussion. And I'm really excited because I had to miss last year's. So I'm excited to really learn about what the City Commission on Equity does. And just as a little fun bonus thing, we actually got a talk from Chief Almada today about public safety in the city and the police force. So that was pretty cool. Okay. Hi. I'm here for Pope John Paul II. So our winter sports seasons have officially ended, and there is an ice cream social taking place on Thursday to celebrate the accomplishments. It's pretty exciting. I was a captain this year for the cheer team and the choreographer, so it was very fun. Our little squad of 2, we're going to have a fun time and eat a lot of ice cream. And then ASB sold and gave out candygrams last week to celebrate Valentine's Day. And we also had some anonymous affirmations. So people could drop affirmations to people in particular or just in general in a box, and then they read them out on morning announcements. So that was pretty cool. Our junior class led the annual Take Flight Breakfast, which is a fundraising event that supports a lot of school programs along with financial aid for students. So making sure that our students can afford to go here because, Pope John Paul II being a private school, we can't really offer free tuition because we don't have the funding. So it's really an important event. And yeah, it was awesome. And then our annual Tolo dance will be on Saturday, which for the older term is Sadie's. So if you don't know, there you go. We're having a fun time. And we actually did a thing called Cupid Coupons, and we'll have a very fun 70s disco theme. So, if anybody was around then and could give any tips about dance moves, that'd be great. Yeah. And then our FBLA team also went to regionals a couple weeks ago, and we had the majority of our competitors making it to state and qualifying, with a lot of those qualifiers placing in the top 3. I have been asked to include that I won first in entrepreneurship, second in impromptu speaking, and 5th in job interview. So,
congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, and then as a final note, our Multicultural Club has posted information about Black history as well as quotes from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to celebrate Black History Month. And the entire school will be watching the movie Selma this week to better our understanding of the history of desegregation in the South, but especially to develop our understanding of Catholic social teaching, which is something we spark all year round in every single year in our school. And often we do one of the major tenants during February to celebrate Black History Month. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I had a quick question for River Ridge. Did you say you guys are having a talent show coming up? Did you say when?
We have auditions tomorrow, but I'm not sure when the actual talent show is yet.
Okay, just let us know.
Deputy
Maybe.
Mayor, he's volunteering.
I'm not a
He'll
high
be
school
there.
student. But
I'm actually auditioning myself. So
okay.
a lot of good acts.
Is it open audition?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
The only thing you need to know about the 70s is butterfly collars and
Bell
bell bottoms.
bottoms. Yeah. Well, thank you, Lacey Youth Council. Appreciate it. Okay, so next up on our agenda is public recognitions, and in presentations, we have several public service awards. And first up is John Grausom, who served on our capital area regional public facilities district. Now, John has been in our community for a long time. He's been a resident since 1973 and has been engaged with the City of Lacey on a lot of different things. Most recently, he served on the Lacey Parks Board from 2008 to 2011, but we're recognizing him today for his service on the Public Facilities District Board, where he's been a member from 2019 to to this year, with his his term expiring on March 1st. So, if you come up, you have this award that, on behalf of the City Council and the City of Lacey, it says this Distinguished Public Service Award with your name and the time you spent on the Capital Area Public Facilities District Board of Directors. So, do a quick photo. And if you you'd like to say a few words?
Sure. I just wanted to thank Mayor Ryder and the council for the appointment. It was very enjoyable being on the board, and so the board oversees the tax receipts that help to support the Children's Museum and the sports complex. And gosh, those are two just fantastic assets that the community has. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you for your service. We really appreciate it. And next up, we have two service awards for volunteers at the Lacey Veterans Services Hub. Michelle.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Michelle Chavez. I am the Human Services Coordinator for the City of Lacey. And tonight we are very happy to be honoring a couple of our longest term volunteers at the Lacey Veterans Services Hub. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank all of the volunteers. We have many volunteers that make the hub a wonderful place, and they do amazing work to help veterans and their family in Thurston County and beyond. And so we want to again thank them, acknowledge we have some of our additional drivers here tonight. But I want to talk specifically about two individuals. Adam Gonzalez and James Jim Nodder have been volunteering as van drivers at the Lacey Veteran Services Hub since 2017. Together, they have helped hundreds of veterans getting to and from their medical appointments for free of cost, door to door. The Lacey Veteran Services Hub transportation program is incredibly vital to our community, and we're very grateful for the volunteers and the thousands and thousands of miles that they've driven our veterans to their appointments. So tonight, the City of Lacey would like to award Adam and Jim with the Distinguished Public Service Award for their many years of work done with the Lacey Veteran Services Hub. So if you could come up, please, Adam and Jim. This is for Adam. This is for you, Adam.
Thank you.
For Jim.
And see if we can do a photo up in front here. Photo. And you can Yeah, I'd like to say a few words. I just, before you go, I'd like to say a couple words. Obviously, the Lacey Veteran Services Hub is such an important part of our community. Talk about just an amazing asset for veterans and their families. But one of the things that we realized real early on when we started to do this work and support veterans is there is a huge need for veterans to be able to get up to make their appointments. And I remember having this conversation, and people said, "Well, just up the freeway. What's the big deal?" Well, you obviously have no, that is it might as well be on the other side of the mountains in some cases to try to find someone who will drive you up there and get you back. It's such a vital part, and it's something that was missing in our community for such a long time. And we could not do it without the help of volunteers like yourselves. You've made such a difference in so many people's lives, because that doctor's appointment is so important for so many different reasons, as you know, not only for the health, but ongoing for benefits and so on and so forth. And so if you miss that meeting, these veterans are missing out on benefits that they've earned and that they deserve. So I just want to say, on behalf of the City Council, on behalf of a lot of very, very grateful veterans, thank you for your time and for what you've done, and your volunteer at the Lacey Veteran Services Hub. We appreciate it. Okay, with that, we have a proclamation. Right? Yeah. So we'll get started with
City of Lacey official proclamation. Whereas cancer is the leading cause of death in the United States and the state of Washington, affecting individuals, families, and communities. According to Washington State Department of Health, approximately 42,000 residents are diagnosed with cancer each year, and more than 12,000 lives are lost annually to this disease. And
whereas prevention plays a critical role in reducing cancer incidence, and studies show that up to 50% of cancers can be prevented through healthy lifestyle choices, including a nutritious diet, regular physical activity, avoidance of tobacco, and limited alcohol consumption. And
whereas regular screenings and early detection significantly improve cancer survival rates, yet many individuals face barriers to accessing essential healthcare services, highlighting the need for increased awareness and accessibility. And
whereas the City of Lacey supports community initiatives that promote cancer prevention, early detection, and access to quality treatment, as well as organizations working to advance cancer research and patient care. And
whereas National Cancer Prevention Month serves as an opportunity to educate the public, encourage healthy behaviors, and advocate for policies that support cancer prevention and an equitable healthcare access for all. And
now, therefore, I, Andy Ryder, Mayor of the City of Lacey, on behalf of the Lacey City Council, do hereby proclaim February 2025 as Cancer Prevention Month in the City of Lacey, and encourage community members to take proactive steps in preventing cancer, supporting those affected, and promoting a healthier future for our community. Signed by myself, Mayor Andy Ryder, on this date. And if Nicole can come up and set this. And as Nicole is coming up, I've let the community know that just last year, around this time last year, I was found out that I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And it was a scary time in my life, but luckily I caught it early and had really good treatment options here in the Pacific Northwest. And I just got my first blood work done after after my treatment, and everything looks good. Looks like I'm cancer-free, and as you know, it's going to be a long waiting game, but I'm so happy that not only do we have this proclamation, but there's a constant reminder that it really is prevention and testing, early detection, that makes all the difference. And so it is so important. You just never think it's going to be yourself, right, until you get tested and you find yourself in this situation. So, Nicole, thank you for all you organization does to help cancer patients and outreach and everything you do. I know you're saving lives in our community, and it really it really is important. So thank you. So what do you do? Sure.
Okay, we're gonna get a picture. Yeah. And of course, I'm gonna say a few words. Come on. I have a beautiful hold your proclamation.
Yeah. Shannon could join us on Friday. She's not.
Thank you very much, City of Lacey and the Lacey City Council. My name is Nicole Wolsey, and I'm the Senior Development Manager with the American Cancer Society and the local Relay for Life right here in Lacey. It really means a lot to us that you included us today and that you stand with the American Cancer Society to educate the community and our neighbors, friends, and family about prevention and about testing. The volunteers that are here this evening and myself have all been personally impacted by cancer, and we know that impact that it has on our friends and family. So thank you very much. And I would like to introduce the South Sound Leadership Council Chair, Corinne Will, just to say a few words. And I'm going to give each of you a folder with some preventative information and screening guidelines. So I left some over here if anybody in the crowd here would like to take that.
Thank you. Nicole asked me to speak because she said she doesn't love public speaking, but when she talks about fighting cancer, boy, she really goes. So again, my name is Corinne Wool, and I'm the chair of the local leadership Thurston County South Sound region for the American Cancer Society. And I just, on behalf of the council, on behalf of our volunteers, on fellow survivors, I want to thank you. I'm proud to be in a jurisdiction that recognizes the importance of fighting cancer, and one of the best ways to fight, of course, is prevention. And so the fact that you're willing to put this as a priority and bring this out to the community, I feel proud as a citizen, as a cancer survivor, as a parent of a previvor, meaning somebody that took drastic measures for prevention with a preventative surgery. So thank you on behalf of all of us. We appreciate you and all that you do. Oh, I'm going to get in trouble. I was supposed to also invite you to our Relay for Life, which is the #1 fundraiser. The ACS is volunteer run and no federal funding. All of the funding comes from private donors. And so you are invited to the Thurston County Relay for Life. Just so happens to be presented by Twin Star Credit Union, for those of you who know me. So please join us and come out and see how the community rallies together. This is a unique community, and we're putting the ACS on the map here in Thurston County. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you for what you do. So next up on our approved agenda is public comments. We didn't have anyone sign up. Is there anyone wishing to address the council tonight? Seeing none, then we'll go on to the mayor's report. It's been the resolution. I forgot about the resolution that we added. I need to look after this, not this one. Okay, resolution. This is consider resolution 1164 rescinding resolution 1162, and I'll turn it over to Dave to explain why.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council members. So 1162, resolution 1162 rather, was passed a couple weeks ago by this council. And what that resolution did was set a hearing for March 18th for council to consider objections to the final assessment rule for Utility Local Improvement District number 25. It's standard operating procedure. You have to pass the resolution to set the hearing date. Once the resolution is passed, it's required that publication in the local newspaper occur and mailings go out to the property owners. Well, subsequent to the council taking that action, it was discovered that slight adjustments were going to need to be made to the final assessment rule. So all we're doing here is just pumping the brakes. We need to get that final assessment rule finalized. It's not going to be, it's pretty minor, all things considered. But we do need to reset the hearing. And in order to meet the statutory requirements for notice, we're going to need to eventually pass a new resolution. So first, we just need to rescind this one. A few weeks will go by before we come back to council with a new resolution to set a new date. So we are asking council to adopt resolution number 1164, which rescinds resolution 1162.
I would make a motion to adopt resolution 1164, rescinding the resolution 1164.
1162. Yeah.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt this resolution 1164, which rescinds resolution 1162. Any discussion?
I know is it just like add a parcel and remove a parcel?
No.
It's pretty minor. It's just affirming final costs of the whole project.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so we set the hearing date for that, but we don't have all the final costs yet. So we have to move that hearing date. So we have to rescind that resolution that set that other hearing date. So until we have all the numbers to move it forward. So there will be another resolution that comes before us that will set the hearing date for this. Everyone got that?
Yep.
Any other discussion?
Yep.
Okay, then it's been moved and seconded. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? That motion unanimously carries. Thanks. Okay, now on to the mayor's report. And as I was saying, it's been a really busy start of this year. I mean, it seems like I can't even keep track of everything that's been going on in my schedule lately. But I just want to thank the Olympia Area Chinese Association that was here earlier. I went to the Chinese New Year and was a guest, and they swung by and gave me a thank you letter this a little bit earlier, and with this, which is meant for good luck. And so I need all the luck I can get these days, so I'll definitely be holding on to that. But other than that, also, the one item that we have is to reappoint Judith Doyle to our Planning Commission, and I would make that motion that we do reappoint Judith Doyle to our Planning Commission.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, then all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Then that motion unanimously carries, and we've reappointed Judith. So next up is the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. I have a couple items on the city manager report in the theme of the public recognition that council made earlier with regard to our volunteers at the Veteran Services Hub. I would like to invite Michelle Chavez, our Human Services Coordinator, to come up and give an update on the Veteran Services Hub. And as she's making her way up, as the council know, we are in a little bit of transition. So at the conclusion of her presentation, I'd also like to report out to the council on an interlocal agreement that we went into with Thurston County that's routine in nature, but is tied to the Veteran services currently being provided. So with that, I'll turn it over to Michelle.
Thank you, Rick. So just to give you a little bit of an update on where we're at with the Lacey Veteran Services Hub. As you know, the Lacey Veteran Services Hub is a one-stop shop for services for veterans, active duty members, and their families. We bring together veteran service groups together in one location to provide easy access for services. So I'm just going to go over a little bit of the history of the hub. I'm sure most of the people here are very familiar, but for people watching online or in the community, kind of how we got to where we are today. So here is a little bit of the history of the hub. So the hub started out with a van in the City Hall parking lot, a mobile unit, which was a partnership with the Department of Veterans Affairs and the Tacoma Vet Center, where they provided mobile services right here. As you heard earlier, it's really hard for folks to travel far outside of their home community, and there was a need here in Lacey to have more direct service here and easily accessible where people wouldn't have to travel so far away to get those veteran services. Phase 2 was in 2014, the permanent services where Lacey opened a 1,200 square feet of nearby office space for counseling and support services for our veterans. Partners again were Tacoma and Federal Way Vet Centers and the Thurston County Veterans Assistance Fund. Phase 3 was an expansion and permanent services completed in 2021, which is kind of how it looks right now, which is the reception area, the large meeting training room, private offices, the resource room, and an employee break room. And you can see this was post-pandemic, but I think folks were still pretty masked up there at that time. So phase 4 is where we're currently at right now. We are going to be doing a $500,000 accessibility improvement project, which is to improve the accessibility at the hub. The planning and design is underway. We've already completed the environmental review. This project includes a lift elevator, upgraded parking stalls, signage, and possibly more if the budget allows for interior automatic doors and automated restroom features. So we are anticipating bids for the first phase of that project this year. We want to thank Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland and Senators Patty Murray and Maria Cantwell for helping Lacey secure these funds. So here's a little snapshot of Veterans Hub in 2016. We had 5 programs and 20 partners. In 2025, we have 9 programs and 156 partners. So you can see that it's expanded quite a bit. Thurston County Veterans, I wanted to let you know too, we have Mark Moffitt here from Thurston County Veteran Services Fund. He's the Social Services Program Manager for the county. These are just quick stats regarding Thurston County veterans. We have about 532,000 veterans in the state and 30,000 veterans here in Thurston County, so it's a large percentage of vets. Thurston County vets in receipt of benefits is the highest in the state. You can see at 44%. The state average is 30%, so that's a testament to the work that the City of Lacey and our partners have put in. The average per vet, the dollar amount for those benefits is $2,000 for Thurston County. The Washington state average is $1,700 per vet. So this is according to the most recent stats on the WDVA website, the Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs. This is just an overview of the Thurston County vets by era. This is the American Community Survey 5-year estimate. So this comes from the Census Bureau. The largest majority were Gulf War, post-Gulf War, and then Vietnam, Korean, and World War II. This is how the Vet Center looks now. As you can see, it's we have some new signage on 2 different sides that is lit up, so that's a nice improvement to the external services. And then once we get those accessibility improvements, it's going to make a big impact to folks getting to an ingress and egress from that building. These are the 9 focus areas where the hub focuses their social services around: housing, nutrition, healthcare, education, employment, VA benefits, financial services, legal, and transportation. Again, we already spoke about, we have over 150 partners that are involved with the hub. This is just a photo of someone getting help with their VA benefits. Here's a list of our current providers. These are different logos for different agencies that have space. What's really great is that people can come to one location and they can get services from multiple agencies. So, for instance, they can get help from HUD-VASH for housing, and they can go to Thurston County Veterans Assistance, get economic assistance there. There's employment providers. There's different foundations there to help people. There's WorkSource, so people that if they need employment and training services, they can get that all at the hub. We also have a food bank Monday through Friday if people need to access that. We have a community room. It's on the second floor. It's a beautiful facility. It has AV. It has a screen, projector. We have a large TV screen too. It seats about 32 with tables, but we can definitely accommodate more folks. We open this up to anybody who wants to use it related to veterans services and their families. It has to be open to the public and a free event. We do a lot of community outreach and engagement. So last year there was about 57 outreach events in the community, totaling about 276 hours of community engagement. These are just examples of flyers that we give out in the community to encourage people to volunteer at the hub, or Change the Narrative Foundation, which is a anti-suicide organization here in the local chapter in Thurston County. And then you can see a picture there where a vet came to the table with his children to learn more about the hub and learn more about the services that we provide. Our volunteer update, on 2024, we had about 2,400 volunteer hours annually and 7 volunteers. Since January 2nd, we've doubled our volunteers. We have 267 hours in January with a potential of about 3,200 hours annually. And so you got to meet 2 of our fabulous volunteers earlier today. And the 3 areas where we have volunteer opportunities are the van, shuttle, front desk, and community outreach. So 60 different community events. We want to encourage people to get involved with the hub and help us do that outreach and engagement in the community. Here's a quote from a couple of different of our volunteers. We actually have one of our volunteers here, Ray, and Ray is the first quote. I retired in July of last year and wanted to continue serving others. The LVSH fit to a T. Being able to serve veterans who have served us so well is very satisfying. Thanks for the opportunity. And that's Ray. And then another volunteer, I really enjoy volunteering at the hub. All the employees and volunteers are welcoming and friendly. I'm a widow of a veteran, and I feel like it's nice to be able to give back. And that's Debbie, one of our newer, more recent volunteers. This is just an overview. You've probably seen this heat map before. It's been presented to council at previous updates. It talks about where are the people coming for services from Thurston County and around the Washington community. Shows that majority of clients come from Washington State. There is a majority of clients from Thurston County, but we do serve a lot of people from Olympia, Tumwater, Yelm, and other jurisdictions and unincorporated. A snapshot of the last 4 years of client visits. The average annual client visits is about 14,400 visits per year. So again, we talked about we're in a little bit of a transition with the management at the hub, and so it was previously managed by a contract. 2025, beginning January 2nd, the Thurston County and the city started providing daily oversight at the hub, and that was through that interlocal agreement that Rick spoke about. This pilot program is for approximately 3 months, and a permanent coordinator position is being developed as we speak. Anticipated recruitment for that coordinator position is hoped to start very soon. The end of February is coming up quickly. I can't believe it already. Some other things we do, we oversee the daily needs from providers and clients. We oversee volunteer recruitment, retention, and recognition, which is very important. We had a little recognition for all the volunteers earlier tonight, and then the 2 van drivers, special recognition for their long-term service. We oversee the use of the community room, and then that critical transportation, making sure the vets can get access to those vans to get to their appointments. In the future, the city will work with our stakeholders on strategic planning for the future of the hub. So a little bit on our new process improvements. We have created an online recruitment and retention program, so everything's online. Application and marketing campaign online. We do online background checks, which turns them around quicker, so we can typically get those done within 24 hours. We are adding events boards and community resource boards because we have so many different resources available to the community members. And also we've added free coffee for visitors who are attending, and that is very popular. We are adding our Lacey TV, broadcasting on the TV at the hub, and also we're going to be working on creating a digital bulletin board so we can keep all the local community news up to date and let people can find out about what's happening. Right now we're just writing it on a board, like things that are happening at the library or at different community events. We put that on a board, but we're hoping to get that digitized. digitizing our van with our iPads and getting ruggedized devices. We're doing a space and asset evaluation to find out, what are the needs of our current providers and could we possibly provide additional space to additional providers, and then updating our website. And that concludes my presentation. I would open up to questions you may have.
I don't have any questions, but I just also would like to thank our landlord, which is South Puget Sound Community College. This wouldn't have been possible without them, and them stepping up really early on to be able to provide this space. Obviously, this council knows that this is a Lacey invention. We're the ones that came up with this because we desperately needed veteran services here in Lacey, and there was not a model out there that allowed that to happen, especially when it came to our mental health services for our veterans and their families. And so it really warms my heart when I look on the building and see Vet Center located on the building. That is the federal government's support for mental health services for veterans. And I distinctly remember being told we would never have a permanent vet center here in Lacey because we have one in Tacoma, and that is just too close, so we would never see one here in Lacey. And now we have a fully operated and funded vet center. So I'm just so proud of the work this council has done, going back to our former city manager, Scott Spence, Steve Kirkman, early on trying to get the nonprofits in Thurston County together to see if we could even make this model work. And then the leadership and commitment for ongoing funding. And what I like to say is, not only have we had such a huge impact on veterans and their families, literally saved veterans' lives. And but as you can see from the slides, it's also been a really smart economic development initiative as well, because all those benefits that our veterans have earned and they weren't receiving are now collecting, and that impacts our local economy. It's been really amazing to see what that has done. And so not only are we doing the right thing, but it makes a lot of economic sense as well. So just kudos to this council for their years of support. I appreciate our city manager looking to make sure how we can continue to provide these services long term, and having a permanent in-house coordinator. I think that's really important. One thing that I've learned through this process is that it takes the ongoing leadership to provide a service of this magnitude, and it's very hard to do without that ongoing leadership. It has to come from an organization, in my opinion. I remember having conversations real early on. It's like, well, maybe we can just have a nonprofit try to run the hub. And whenever you develop a service like this, where you have so many nonprofits, so many organizations all under one roof, trying to coordinate and try and do what's best for veterans and their families, you have to have an independent leader sort of directing the way to make sure that happens successfully. And we've done that here in Lacey, and we will continue to do it. And so thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for all the volunteers. We could not do it without the volunteers. I mean, just, it would be impossible. And so for all the volunteers that have made this so successful, thank you so much. It really, you're making such a huge difference in people's lives. And we thank you for all you're doing. And thank you, Thurston County, for stepping up right now, too. You're a partner at the very get-go, a very, very important partner. And I love that you're back and at the hub and working with us. So thank you so much for what you're doing for our veterans, too.
I just had one question. Do we have any designations or signage on I-5, kind of like American Lake does, signifying Veteran Services Hub? Because if not, that might be something to talk to WashDOT about. Because
We do not, and that's something we can pursue with WashDOT. The other thing, too, is we just updated, thanks to Scott Egger and his team in the sign department, we updated our wayfinding signs out on 6th Avenue and Golf Club to recognize the Veteran Services Hub location over off of Golf Club, too. So we can look at the Washington State Department of Transportation signs, too.
See if we can.
Yeah, that's a very, as you can see, we started this off trying to help our Lacey veterans and their families. What we quickly realized is this service was so needed. We're serving veterans really across the globe, because there's very few places you can call and get more than one issue solved at one-stop shop. It doesn't really exist, although this is becoming more and more what the model other communities are looking at to try to replicate. And so, it's been amazing to see this, how successful this program's been. So, go ahead.
I also wanted to recognize then Senator Denny Heck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you, Scott, and him went to Washington, and that's where they told you they wouldn't fund it, and we didn't take no for an answer because it was too important, it was too well needed. So I think he deserves a lot of recognition, and and I'm proud of our council too, even because we didn't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
You're
Absolutely right. Denny Heck didn't give up on us. Patty Murray was a supporter from day one. And I remember receiving commitments from both of them and say, hey, we will find a way to make this happen. And you're right. Thank you for that reminder. Denny Heck was a huge supporter earlier on.
Wasn't our council that decided this fund it for 2 years, $200,000?
Well, we've been participating in funding this the Veterans Hub from its inception. So, and I think it's been money very, very well spent for our community.
Okay, so I just want to follow up with a little bit of procedural item. With the, by resolution, council has authorized the city managers to sign interlocal agreements that are considered routine in nature, meaning that they have a value of $25,000 or less. And as Michelle talked about, this transition of the Veteran Service Hub from a management through a contract to bringing that more in-house, we needed to do some, have some time to transition. And so we entered into an interlocal agreement with Thurston County and thank you to Thurston County for being willing to come in and come back to be a presence in the center again, but also to help out with some of the on-site work. And so the interlocal agreement really is doesn't change dollars. It is just really how we split the work up. And so in a nutshell, it specifies that City of Lacey responsibility is to create and implement Veteran Service Center policies, provide oversight, and provide daily operation coverage at the center on Mondays and Fridays. That means, just managing on-site activities during the daytime. And there's several other items that go into that as well. The duties of the county was again to collaborate in the city on the creation, implementation, and adherence to the policies, meet regularly with the city, but also more importantly, provide that daily operational coverage at this Veteran Service Hub on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. So we really couldn't be able to make this transition as successful as it been without the partnership and support of Thurston County. I again want to recognize Mark Moffitt in the back of the room because he has been instrumental in that and helping us get the MOU or interlocal agreement put together and work with this transition. And then as Michelle said, the goal is the agreement's valid through March 31st. If we need to extend it, we could. However, that is the goal, to have come back for council approval to hire a permanent position to have the oversight and coordination at the Veteran Services Hub. So I wanted to report out to council that we did enter that interlocal agreement, and we're right in the midst of that work. And again, recognize all the volunteers raised in the audience and the others that were recognized tonight, but also want to recognize Michelle and Shannon and their efforts to put together this plan for transition, working through it, and also taking the time to pivot and work on site as this developed well. So I want to recognize them and their leadership.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shannon. I know you've been working on this for a couple of years, Shannon, so we really appreciate that. And it's really the stick-to-ness of this that I'm really so proud of, that we've recognized how important this is for our community, and and that we can continue to invest in this vital resource for our veterans and their families. So thank you, Michelle, as well.
Thank you. The next item, the last item on my report tonight is Jenny Bowersfield's making her way up, our community relations specialist, and she's going to give an overview of our annual Lacey Neighborhood Grant Program.
Thank you, Rick. Hello, Council and Mayor. Nice to see everybody. We just wanted to take this opportunity to review this last year's 2024 Lacey Neighborhood Grant Program. So just a reminder, we've presented on this before. I think you all are familiar with it, but just as a reminder for those watching as well, the program intention here, Council brought this back in 2017 to foster community pride and just expand community member involvement, provide opportunities to beautify the city and have residents take part in that in building up their own communities. So grant eligibility, they must be located inside the Lacey city limits. The projects must have a lasting or direct benefit to the neighborhood, and the project must be nonprofit in nature. Some of the grant guidelines that have remained in place is this is a matching grant program, so they are eligible to receive 50% of the total project cost reimbursed back, not to exceed $2,500, so that is the max that they can receive. This requires a dollar-for-dollar neighborhood match. Volunteer hours and in-kind donations also may be eligible to meet that requirement. Projects must meet city codes, ordinances, and non-discrimination policies. I do meet with a couple of representatives from different departments just to make sure that, if there's any projects that, require hazard tree removal, that they're making sure the permits are being met and things like that. So we want to make sure that we're complying with all of our city rules. And then this is open to formally recognized HOAs, and back in 2023, we also expanded it to include informal neighborhoods to give opportunities to some of the older neighborhoods who might not have a formally recognized HOA, but they might still have some common areas that need some work that can be costly to each of the residents. So these are just a few of the grant categories. Neighborhood beautification. These can be, common park area improvements, safe neighborhoods, and disaster preparedness. There's always some neighborhoods that are looking to expand their disaster preparedness, CERT trainings, things like that. Environmental sustainability and resiliency, board education and organization development, and then compassion. So this is a snapshot of what should say 2024 completed projects. So my apologies for the error there, but these are just a few of the projects that were completed. We had a new community bulletin board. We actually had multiple neighborhoods put in free little libraries, which were my favorite. I just love the concept of those. Irrigation repairs to fix the leaking water, noxious weed removal, community gardens, mailbox enclosure repairs, just all sorts of different things that really help make a neighborhood look more united and beautiful. These are just a couple of examples. I wanted to show you some photos. This is the Point HOA. They put in a community garden just in some open space that they had available. I thought that turned out really nice. Capital City Golf Club Estates, they put up a new bulletin board in their kind of entryway as people come in so they can post neighborhood news. And then the Links at Indian Summer put in this great little bench along one of the paths, and I believe it might be on one of the greens. There's a picture there. The gentleman, as he went out to take pictures of the completed project, there was a little boy that was riding his bike, and he quickly hopped off and went and sat on the bench. So he was like, I didn't stage that. That was just a boy that was going through the neighborhood. So it's already getting use. So this is just a quick snapshot at the 2024 statistics. We had the total approved grant projects were 43. I think I received one application that was not approved, just didn't meet our standards. We had 3 incomplete projects this year for just a variety of reasons. So 40 total completed projects this year. Total funding requests received was just over $93,000. To ensure that each HOA received some funding, we awarded at 91% of their requested requested grant amount. And so the total grant fundings available this year, including the carryover from 2024 that was unused, was $73,342. Total grants funding issued was $73,904, which was just an accounting error on my part as I was divvying up the funds, just a wrong calculation. So we went over by about $500. So yeah, it was a very successful year. We heard a lot of feedback from many of the neighborhoods who are super grateful for this opportunity. They look forward to it every year. And so we've got 2025 applications are currently open for neighborhoods. So they're starting to come in, and the deadline is March 31st. And then I'll give my notice of approval and funding. We take about a month to review all the applications and meet with a representative from Community and Economic Development and our Parks Maintenance staff as well. Projects need to be completed by December 31st of this year, and there were no carryover funds this year, so the total grant funds available is $60,000, which is determined by council. So again, thank you just for your continued support of this program. I speak for all of the HOAs that I work with. They really, really appreciate it, and they put it to good use. So are there any questions?
Any questions? I just want to reiterate how popular this is. It's when when I'm out and running into people, I get thanked all the time, and like $2,500 doesn't seem like a lot, but a couple things happen there. One thing you're doing is you're pulling the HOAs and the community together to work on a project that brings pride to the community. So it's not only just the dollar amount; it's the fact that we're putting something in motion where communities are coming together to work on something to either beautify or improve their neighborhood, and it's much more than just the dollars that we're talking about here. It's really the communities being able to get together and be able to accomplish and work together on a project like this, and
And there are multiple smaller HOAs that don't have a very big budget, and so the $2,500 actually really is quite impactful for them. Yeah. Especially the informal neighborhoods. We did have one neighborhood that there's no board, it's not formally recognized as an HOA, but they had some hazard trees that really needed to come out, and as you guys know, tree removal is expensive, so they were really appreciative of that. I also just wanted to, if there were no more questions about the HOA grant program, I wanted to take the opportunity just to remind council and those watching about our first Lacey Community Academy, which is coming up on Thursday. So as you all know, you're all invited to come to this first session. If you want to pop in for the beginning of it, that would be great. We have staff that's going to do the presentation for the remainder of the evening, but we'd love a chance for our attendees to get to meet you. We have 18 people who are going to be attending. They're all really excited and looking forward to it. So I know Shannon and Sadie have been working hard to put together some content for this first week. So we'd love to have you guys. We do have a April council meeting date set, I believe, where we are hopeful that we can invite those attendees maybe at like 5 o'clock for a reception with all of you. That might be a better time and they will have already gone through the course, so they might have some questions coming out of this to bring back to you guys. So we look forward to that, to having some refreshments and just kind of a reception time with them and some Q&A with our council. But we do hope to see you on Thursday.
Thank you. And thank you, Jenny, for all the work that you do on this. And I know that this community, get together is something that we've talked about in wine or needing something like that in Lacey. And so for you to put that work and all your effort into making it happen, we really appreciate it. So I'll be there on Thursday. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you.
Anything else?
That concludes my report for tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Well, next up is boards, commissions, and committee reports. And I'm up first. And Transportation Policy Board had one of the most historic days ever in the history of the Transportation Policy Board when it met on last Wednesday, February 12th, because we met at 8:30 a.m. I've been trying to get the time changed to a later time because it's been meeting at least an hour before that for a long time. And I'm not a morning person, and a lot of people aren't. And plus, it was always difficult for accessibility for some people to make a meeting that early. But we were able to change the meeting time. And so this was the first time we actually met at 8:30. So it was a very historic day at the Transportation Policy Board on February 12th. We had a couple items that we had. First up was the election of our officers. We have a chair, a first vice chair, and a second vice chair. And there was a slate of candidates with myself as chair, Renee Radcliffe Sinclair as the first vice chair, and then I also nominated Commissioner Rachel Grant to be the second vice chair, and that was unanimously accepted by the Transportation Policy Board. And so I'll be serving what I think is my 14th consecutive year as the chair of the Transportation Policy Board, which is hard for me to wrap my head around that. But the next item on our agenda was a quick RTIP amendment, and in this case, it was the City of Lacey needing to go onto the official STIP for our work on our Martin Way corridor. So we're at that time where we needed to do that so we can get approved for that federal funding to go through. And it's obviously, that's a really important time right now. We want to make sure that that project gets funded and that funding comes back as soon as possible. But the majority of the meeting was actually spent talking about the new what they're calling a road usage charge in the state of Washington. We've known for quite a long time that the gas tax is diminishing returns as more electric vehicles and, just as important, morely hybrid vehicles and other high mileage vehicles are on the road. So you could see the collection of the gas tax going down somewhat dramatically in future years. So back in 2012, the state legislature realized that this could be an issue, and they directed the Transportation Commission to assess a feasibility study to see what it would take to go from the gas tax to a road usage-based, per mile fee or something along those lines. And so they had been studying this for since really 2023. They launched a pilot program that had over 1,100 participants to see what this could possibly look like. And what they're sort of proposing right now is this is really going to be kind of an opt-in program where it's kind of an interesting idea where it's really mostly, there's been several different ways that they've looked at this, but what seems to be the most popular through this pilot program would be an annual odometer reading that when you go to renew your tabs, you'd give if you've opted into this program, you would give your annual mileage for the year. And based on your vehicle's EPA miles per gallon, what the vehicle received, they would do a quick calculation, and basically starting off with electric vehicles that are paying nothing into it. There'd be a formula that would be that they would use. They're talking about starting off with giving everyone like a $200 credit, and looking at this. And from the electric vehicles, they get charged a fee already. And so what they've seen early on is that they would get rid of the fee that they're currently charging electric vehicles. They would replace it with this, And it looks like, on average, through a bunch of different scenarios, the average person would be paid like $32 a year in this road usage charge. Of course, there's a bunch of issues still outstanding. And one of the big ones is what happens if you travel outside the state and add odometers, add miles that way. One of the things they talked about was, well, there's the $200 credit that could help towards that. But they also talked about having an app-based services that it would only keep track of your mileage within the state of Washington. That's all it does is show if you're in the state or not in the state and the miles associated with that. But there's what they're really starting to do is looking at rolling this out first with electric vehicles and high mileage vehicles first. So if you, for example, if you have a old truck that gets 10 miles per gallon, you're paying a lot in gas tax already. And so you're obviously wouldn't owe anything under this program. But if you have a electric vehicle or high mileage, through the calculations, that's what they said so far. Even the high mileage vehicles would pay on average, it looked like another $30 or so. It's
per 1,000 miles driven.
Yeah, per 1,000 miles driven. Yeah.
So 10,000 miles would be 300 something.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So there's a report that you can go and look at that's out there that I will make sure we have to send out, and for the public who wants to take a look at it, that talks a little bit more about this program. And so it was really interesting. I think sooner or later we understand this is a issue, but it's all about trying to find a balance of equity and everything else, and making it fair for everyone, and obviously be able to keep up with our cost of maintaining our roadways. So that is my report. Next up is the Deputy Mayor.
Let's see. JASCOM met on February 10th, and since the departure of Chair Parsley, we needed to elect new officers, chair and a vice chair. I was nominated as chair and accepted that role, and vice chair is now Commissioner Klaus. One of the things that we jumped right into was our needs assessment. We've been looking at this needs assessment for a while. You guys have all seen the needs assessment. We all know that the JASCOM location was the second worst city building in the assessment. And as we kind of dive into that, we look at the different things like the HVAC system, which currently needs to be replaced, and the cost to stay in this building is actually just continues to rise. So there are currently reserves being used for some of the capital facilities like electrical and roofing, and kennel replacements are needing to happen as well. Some of the concerns and limitations about the site is our safety, and there's just no room for development on the site. There's wetlands on the site. There's a buffer zone on the site. The site is also partially in a flood zone, so it's of the 5 acres that are there, the usage is 2 acres at best. And then the other thing about the site is that you can't do construction and operations at the same time, so they just cannot happen on the site. So that makes this site relatively just not usable for redevelopment for this purpose. After this purpose, then, and it's sold or something along those lines, then the redevelopment is for someone else would be a really feasible thing, just not for Joint Animal Services at this point in time. So the concept plan refinements that we got into were, based upon the adjacencies for critical functions, and then those adjacencies were tested on multiple sites. So those adjacencies are kind of in that plan now for the 3 sites that are out there that are, possibles. The 3 sites that are out there, the owners of those sites do know and understand that JASCOM is looking at their sites for potential relocation. Some of the key considerations are like the circulation of the staff, the separation of staff and public, separating species, and of course the industry standards of care, which we are currently not meeting. The initial concept was 30,000 square feet, which has been reduced down to 19,768 square feet and 2,500 square feet of vet space, which is attached. So once we start getting into cost, without breaking down the cost into each little section, what we're looking at is a total of about 33 to 45 million to do this entire project. So it's not a super light lift, but it is a lift for 4 different jurisdictions potentially to carry that burden together. There is a legislative ask for $2 million for the design work. The vet services space, as in concept right now, of course, would meet the standard of care, which we're currently not meeting. So, but one of the things about the site is that you can't do 2 things at once. You can't have surgeries and exams and foster appointments at the same time. None of those things can happen at the same time. It's kind of like having Sprint as a carrier. So you just can't do multiple things. So the service level would rise exponentially with a new site and development. So it would also allow us to do public spay and neuter, which we can't do now. And so the current space obviously just needs to be gone, unfortunately. So a few of the current budget is reserves are about $1 million that are usable if the state funding comes through. That's $2 million. Some grant funding about $500K, and some local donations about $500K. And the current property has a value of roughly $3 million. So, with that being, the cash position of Joint Animal Services and the total of 33 to 45 million dollars, it looks like we really need to kind of like look at our different funding options that we have available to us. One of the financial models is an ILA. So if a loan is done, it already kind of outlines in the ILA how that's repaid through because it's per capita. And then one of the other thoughts and ideas that came across was an animal control district, which would be a taxing jurisdiction. That one, obviously just kind of like some of the other ideas that we've had about multiple jurisdictions coming together on a tax. There's a lot to it. And so that's kind of a newer thought and idea. We also renewed the Nisqually Tribe contract. So some additional dollars there. And then we also picked up a contract with Bucota. So every contract that we pick up outside of our jurisdictional boundaries that we have already set in this ILA only reduces the assessment of each of the jurisdictions. So every time we pick up something new, everybody in the group pays less money. So that's, and then in 2024 in review, first our 2025 budget is $3.6 million, 3.60, my handwriting, 607,900. So, and then we had one member of JASCOM or Joint Animal Services, who was elected to the Washington Animal Control Board. So then we got into the average volunteer hours, which are up to 40-hour weeks. So the total volunteer hours was 5,626 volunteer hours. And that was spread out over 140 people. So which is the average of 40.19 hours. That's the equivalent of 2.7 full-time employees. So good on JASCOM, making the best use, and which also equates to $226,000. So people are very interested in helping out. 445 animals went into foster care. Let's see, animals outlays. 2,285 exams, 1,258 spay and neuter surgeries, 64 surgical procedures. There are some stats There was a 5% increase of animals. 27% of that increase was dogs. The animal intake, 41% were from county calls, 19% were from Lacey calls, and 22% were from Olympia calls, and 7% from Tumwater. The field response unit fielded 2,900 calls in 2024, including stray and enforcement and cruelty and neglect cases. JASCOM currently now has a member on the Washington State Animal Control Academy, a member at the Washington State Board of Animal Control Association, WACA, and then also has a National Animal and Care and Control Association member who is the executive director. So at the local level, at the state level, and at the national level, Thurston County Joint Animal Services is represented in all three, and there's very few jurisdictions who can say that. There are a couple House bills that are out there that are trying to work their way through. One of them is about coal sheltering, and then there's another one that is about preventing cruelty to animals and redefining, or should we say, setting definition to what cruelty is, because it's not really built in, which means how much food and shelter and space and so on and so on. And then my last note is that Joint Animal Services actually made the news. There was a what do you call it, a cockfighting ring that in Yelm area that freed about 600, almost 600 roosters that were being raised for fighting and so on and so forth. Apparently they raise them out there and then they drive them to some location to ridiculous. And so it was a multi-jurisdictional effort, and those jurisdictions that we went to their rescue last year came and helped us this year in this effort. And that is my report.
Oh, thank you. Councilmember Greenstein.
Just one short report tonight. Thurston 911 met on February 5th. We spent some time going over 2024 results, calls and things that were accomplished. But the most important thing we did was we went over the executive director's review. So we had meetings with her to go over 2024 accomplishments and goals for 2025. The board unanimously approved her continuation, obviously, with a 4% raise and 5 additional vacation days. And that is my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Stedman.
Another short one for you here, Mayor. On February 12th at 10 a.m., ORCA met. We reviewed and made updates to our purchasing policies. What else? I already touched base on the public records request portal last meeting. And all but 2 days were below moderate levels for air quality in January. And then we had an executive session, but can't talk about that. That's my report.
Councilmember Cox.
Okay, 2 reports tonight. First is Intercity Transit Authority, which met on February 2nd. We have authorized a public hearing on the September 2025 Major Service Change Summary and Draft Equity Analysis. The hearing will be March 19th at 5:30 p.m. We elected officers for this year, and I am the new chair of the Transit Authority, and our citizen rep, Sue Pierce, who happens to live in Lacey, is the vice chair. So Lacey is well represented at Intercity Transit. Planning is underway for the 2025 South Sound Regional Bus Rodeo, which Intercity Transit will host July 12th and 13th in Tumwater. This rodeo features competitions among bus drivers and bus mechanics, and Intercity Transit has a fantastic record. They are reigning national champ right now. General Manager Emily Bergkamp reported on an attempt by the current federal administration to temporarily freeze disbursement of federal financial assistance. as most of us know, this was blocked by a federal judge, and then the administration has canceled the freeze altogether. But this would have impacted all payments or reimbursements from the Federal Transportation Administration, and this would have cost intercity transit over $11 million. So it would have been a significant financial hit. And it's just a reminder that you can't take state or federal funding for granted. We also met with the 22nd Legislative District delegation to discuss project priorities that have been prioritized by the State Department of Transportation for inclusion in the 2025-2027 funding. There's battery electric coach replacement project, a Corridor Express introducing new limited stop service from West Olympia to East Lacey. Lacey Express introducing I-5 service from Lacey Transit Center to the Sounder Station via Hawks Prairie and Joint Base Lewis McCourt. And then at South Puget Sound Community College, improvements at Crosby Loop that will make it much easier for the bus to get through there. And I think also of interest, on February 4th, they had what's known as a conversation cafe for staff to attend that commemorated Transit Equity Day. February 4th happened to be the birthday of civil rights legend Rosa Parks, who refused to give up her seat on the bus, and amazing things happened after that. So the thing about these conversation cafes is they're intrinsically tied to the concept of transit equity, which is really being emphasized now. And they're a great opportunity to really have people open up and share their thoughts and feelings and actions around this. So I'm sure we'll see more of these conversations. And then LOT, which is the Lacey, Olympia, Tumwater, Thurston County Clean Water Alliance, met on February 11th. This was sort of a setting up the year kind of a meeting. We discussed board topics for the whole year, and we provided input on a plan to update all of the board policies at LOT. They're in this huge binder, and they're trying to put more order to it and make it more accessible to everyone. We elected officers for 2025. County Commission Chair Ty Mincer is the continues as LOT Chair. Tumwater City Council Member Liada Dahlhoff is Vice Chair, and I was chosen to continue representing LOT on the Thurston Regional Planning Council, which is a good thing because prior to that appointment, I was elected Vice Chair of the Regional Planning Councils. So we don't have any embarrassing lapses there. And then Councilmember Robin Vasquez was elected to a second term as chair. So Lacey's very well represented on the Regional Planning Council as well. And we're both former Lacey Planning Commissioners, which makes a difference, I think. We also looked at revisions to LOT's pretreatment regulations, and those were approved. And then we had an overview of key efforts and projects by staff for the coming year. So that's pretty much it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, at least my time here on the council, I think we have more Lacey chairs of intergovernmental committees right now than we ever have had in my time. So I think it says a lot of the leadership that we have on this council, and so it's a good job everyone for that. Next up, or last, is Councilmember Dunning.
Solid Waste met February 6th. We got results back from a rate study they just did. So they have not adjusted rates for the past 12 years for the refuse facility, which puts them about 40% behind Pierce County and King County. So as I've talked about before, there's some pretty significant projects coming up that they need to be able to do to keep up with demands, technology, and repairs for the refuse facility. So the rate study is proposing a 5-year phased-in 37.5% increase. So it would be spread across the 5 years. Even after that increase, we would still be about 30% behind Pierce County and King County is today. So they really are trying to do the best they can. They've done that for a long time with the money that they do get. So they're going to be presenting this to the Board of County Commissioners, and then they'll be holding a public hearing coming soon. So I will get any updates from that to you guys when it happens. And then today, February 18th, the Experience Implant, the VCB, met. As you know, we don't have a CEO, so those meetings are pretty short right now. There's not a lot going on. We got a little bit of an update. Estimated time for a CEO they're hoping is early July, so it will be a little while. There was a few candidates that had applied before we went out to Searchwide to do a candidate screening. Though they didn't really have the capacity to be able to interview and vet those people properly, and that's why they went out to bid for that position. So all of those people automatically are forwarded to Searchwide, and they'll be interviewing them, and they've already received notification or should have received notification, and then they'll be putting out a bid for that as well. So as soon as I get any information, I will let you guys know. Otherwise, we're in a little bit of a weird holding pattern. A little bit's going on with FIFA, working with the county, trying to get updates on that as well too. So as any updates come, we'll be presenting those. And then finalize the sports awards. We're going to be doing that in June at South Puget Sound Community College. So you guys are all welcome to join. That should be a nice event. So those are my briefs.
Thank you. Well, with that, I see the time is 7:27. Tomorrow is AWC Action Days, so hopefully we'll maybe see some council members there. I'm not sure. I will be there, and I think we're meeting at the Worthington Center too. Yeah. So for those council members, remember it's the Worthington Center. And with that, like I said, we reached the end of our agenda. Now it's 7:28, so without objection, I'll call this meeting adjourned. And as always, you keep it classy, Lacey.